Is State of Decay 3 cancelled? Because the last time we saw anything was at the 2024 Xbox showcase, and since then it's just been silence, layoffs, studio drama, and not a single update. People are calling it dead, but it's not, and here's why. In this video, I'm going to show you proof that the game has not been cancelled and everything's actually going fine. Let's be honest, it looks cancelled. No gameplay, no dev updates, no trailer, and no release window. Undead Labs was hit with studio restructuring, reports of layoffs, and reports of mismanagement, and Xbox has been going full Thanos on half of their projects lately. So yeah, safe to say a lot of fans gave up hope. But here's the weird part. Nobody at Xbox or Undead Labs ever actually said it was cancelled, and they've quietly dropped some hints that it's still kicking. First off, job listings. Undead Labs has been posting job openings as of recently, specifically mentioning State of Decay 3 in the role descriptions. That's not something you do if a project's been axed. Second, Phil Spencer literally said in an interview that State of Decay 3 is in the works and they're taking their time to get it right because it's ambitious. Phil Spencer says a lot of things, but I do trust him on this one. They don't want another Redfall situation. Back in 2020, the first trailer looked insane, with the snowy setting, the mutated wildlife, and the full-on next-gen survival vibes. But Undead Labs has just joined Xbox. As they joined Xbox, their team grew immensely. I heard it could be up to 140 employees they hired. Going from a tiny indie studio to a full-on AAA game is something that they had to get used to. So basically, Xbox forced them to announce the game way too early, which is a classic Xbox move, and now they're stuck playing catch-up while trying not to release another unfinished mess. Now recently, there were layoffs. I heard from a few YouTubers who stay in contact with the devs at Undead Labs that there was around 12 to 13 layoffs, and the layoffs came specifically from the marketing team and some community members, which sucks to hear, but at least it doesn't sound like the most important roles. On top of that, Brian Fitzgerald, a dev at Undead Labs, who's pretty active on Reddit, posted recently, "We are still alive, working harder than ever on State of Decay 3. If I was allowed to share more, you know I would." He also stated, "We are still hard at work at State of Decay 3, and we are still here making progress. We just haven't been given permission to talk about the game yet." He also stated, since they're not an indie studio anymore, they have to take instructions from Xbox, and it's not necessarily Undead Labs' fault. It's just that they're told they're not allowed to say anything and keep things under wrap. I also want to remind people, just a year ago, Xbox insider Jez Corden said the game was coming along really well. I know that was a year ago, and there have been layoffs since, but the silence isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think they know when they release news about this game that it's going to blow up. Undead Labs knows it has us, a huge community just waiting for State of Decay 3 to come out. So no, it's not cancelled, it's just hiding in development. If I had to guess, we're not going to see gameplay until the end of this year or even the beginning of next year. As for a release date, it's looking like the end of 2026 or even 2027, and that's just an estimate because no one really knows anything. Undead Labs still had teams working on State of Decay 2 up until 2023, and until 2023, all of their teams started working on State of Decay 3. So we may not see it for another while, maybe another year, possibly 2027, but I believe before that, and I hope. Until then, we're gonna have to keep surviving without it. If you're still holding out hope for State of Decay 3, hit subscribe. Also hit like if you enjoyed this video. I'll still be here quietly obsessing over every tiny dev update.